you started Miriam, okay, and run it for 16 years. But even that journey started, you were actually teaching people how to build iPhone apps.
My then girlfriend, who's now my wife, and me and her, we bought one of India's first iPod touches. So we learned how to build these iPhone apps. We started teaching other software development companies how to build iPhone apps.
Then why start Social Wavelength?
I go to this Startup Saturday event and he says, "My name is Sanjay Mehta. I'm going to start a social media management company." And I introduce myself saying, "Hi, my name is Mihir Karkare. I'm going to meet Sanjay in the break." That's how I introduce myself, okay? And break mein Sanjay leaves.
What are the common characteristics you've seen in truly great leaders?
When I'd really gotten into reading about Maratha history, map of the Maratha Empire in the year that Chhatrapati Shivaji passed away. But you see the map of the Maratha Empire 60 years after he passes away.
Okay.
And it is 5 times bigger than it was during his lifetime.
Oh.
And the only reason that
Welcome to another episode of Let's Build. Today we have another amazing guest, a veteran when it comes to digital marketing. We have Mihir Karkare today with us. He is a co-founder of Social Wavelength, a pioneering digital marketing agency in India, which later got acquired and become Mirum India and got acquired by WPP Network. So in Mirum India, he built a strong team of 350 plus members over the past 16 years, and he has created digital transformation with local clients, national clients, and even international clients to expand and build their brand and their business. After stepping away from Mirum, he started his next venture called Meru Life, which wants to build a launchpad for senior citizens. Mihir has this unique ability of strategic leadership and calm leadership, where his one of the biggest strengths is being calm even under extreme pressure. He also has very in-depth knowledge and the way systems work because he loves building systems with a long-term vision. I'm super excited to have him for this show. Thank you, Mihir, for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you, thank you. You started Miriam, okay, and run it for 16 years. But even that journey started, you were actually teaching people how to build iPhone apps, right? Take us through that journey. How did you even start that?
So that's a thing that not a lot of people may know. But, right out of college, we were... I was preparing for my, like everybody does, competitive exams to do post-graduation and so on and so forth. But there was this, thing about entrepreneurship that had bitten me. And what I had started doing was me and my then girlfriend, who's now my wife and, mother of my kids. Me and her, we bought what would have been probably one of India's first iPod touches. So this was in 2008 when, the iPhone and iPod touch got launched. And we also bought a Mac Mini. So whatever savings we had in like a year of working, we bought that with those savings. And we learned how to make iPhone apps because, the hype about iPhone as well as social media, by the way, was unreal. It's like how AI ka hype is today. So we learned how to build these iPhone apps. And, we didn't launch an app, but the way we monetized that was we started teaching other software development companies how to build iPhone apps because everybody was like, oh, we have to jump onto this bandwagon. And of course, those who jumped onto the bandwagon did really, really well. But that was my kind of mini experiment with entrepreneurship even before Social Wavelength. It was not a formal thing. It was not like we incorporated a company or anything like that. But, it was just that itch to do something. And that's what that was. Very interesting times. Yeah.
And how long did you do it for?
So we must have done it for around 6 months. We like from getting the stuff to learning ourselves. And then I think we did a few training workshops / training, conducted a few trainings in these technology companies. So these technology companies would have been ones who at that time were building apps in say .NET or they were building apps in Java. And they see this unreal hype happening about, iPhone will be the new platform, whatever. So those were the places that we did these trainings.
Interesting. So this is happening good, right? This is going good, especially with the growth of iPhone and iOS apps, and you're
Yeah.
teaching, you're making money, then why start Social Wavelength?
So actually, the money component was not a big component. Like we
Okay.
didn't make a lot of money on this. In fact, the bigger thing that was happening in my life at that time was, giving all these competitive exams.
Okay.
So I was good at competitive exams. So I had, I was in college, I had given my GRE, and I had done fairly well. I think I was top one or two people in
Oh,
college
wow.
on my GRE score. But I decided I want to do a MBA, right? And in MBA also, um, I gave one attempt. I did not get um I didn't get the admit that I wanted.
Okay.
So then I was in that zone where, should I prepare again? Should I not prepare? So the big thing in my life that time wasn't even the iPhone dev. The big thing was this decision about, should I continue my pursuit of post graduation or not? And the real question is, why did I let that go and take this up? Because I didn't do my post graduation eventually, right? I'm an
You didn't
engineer.
do that
I didn't
MBA.
do it because
Okay.
in 2009, so it must have been around 15 months since I was out of college. uh, Feb 2009 is when I met Sanjay, who later became my co-founder. But I met Sanjay at a startup event. There used to be this event called Startup Saturday,
Okay.
and I had started attending that event, doing a little bit of volunteering, etc. But at one of the Startup Saturdays, I ended up meeting Sanjay, and it's a very funny story how that happened. So Sanjay was so there was this iPhone thing happening in my life. There was this post graduation
Yep.
preparation happening. The other thing that was happening was social media was going crazy again. Just to recap. Now, of course, you must have been a kid at that particular time. How old are you in 2009?
I was doing my 9th standard, so I must be 14 years old.
14 years old, yeah. So 2009 was a time, just to for everybody's this thing. Twitter was like, Shashi Tharoor was the only politician on Twitter, and he used to tweet, and next day morning that tweet would be on the front page of newspapers, saying that Indian politician says this on Twitter. It was like I'm saying, no, unreal hype. Um, so there was also this third stream that was going on in my life. Yeah, this seems like a really interesting thing. Social media is space mein kuch kar sakte hain, just like iPhone was, or iPhone development was going on. And I go to this Startup Saturday event, and Sanjay, he's sitting across the room when all these introductions are going on, and he says, "My name is Sanjay Mehta. I'm going to start a social media management company." So he says that, and the intros come and they reach me, and I introduce myself saying, "Hi, my name is Mihir Karkare. I'm going to meet Sanjay in the break." That's how I introduce myself, okay?
Okay.
And break mein Sanjay leaves. How we met again is a different story.
Okay.
But so the reason why I actually did not either pursue the iPhone path or pursue the
MBA.
post graduation path was because the opportunity to embark upon this entrepreneurship journey came my way, and I thought that was the most exciting, and the one that I should grab by the horns. So that's how that happened.
Social Wavelength started.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
But how did you decide? Let's say, because even you have three major decisions in your life. Because
Yeah.
right after graduation, for any student, right,
Yeah.
it's kind of a major thing. Job पे जाना है, या ज़्यादा पढ़ाई करना है. Entrepreneurship is a bit out of the scope. Okay,
Yeah.
at least for most of them. Outright business करना है. Right. So how did you even decide कि नहीं MBA भी नहीं करना है? And the iOS apps is actually doing good. Okay, you may
Yeah.
not be making that
Yeah,
much
yeah.
money, but it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
booming.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, and social media is a new thing for you.
Yeah.
So how did you decide कि ये दोनों नहीं करने लेकिन social media करना है?
So there are this is a long answer, and there are many elements to this, right? So what happens is, most things in life have multiple reasons.
Yep.
Proximate reason kuch ho sakta hai, but there is a lot of stuff happening around it, right? So one of the things that was unusual about in my case was my dad, who came from a very very middle class Maharashtrian family, not somebody that is typically would do an entrepreneurship or whatever it is, had been an entrepreneur since the mid 80s, which is very unique, right? He had started multiple companies. He had done, I mean, it was something which I feel it's a privilege to have had that in my life. So सबसे ज़्यादा difficult decisions तो उन्होंने कर लिए 20 साल पहले. So now when I have to do it, it's not that big a decision for me, right? It's like I'm not technically I'm not going off the beaten path. My dad has been there, done that. It could be a beaten path for if you compare me against all the other kids in my batch, so it's a beaten path.
Yep.
But my dad had done something like that, so for me it was relatively easy. Actually difficult to unko hua hoga when he did
breaking
it, right?
that mold,
Breaking
right?
that mold,
Yeah.
right? So that was one thing which I felt was very very unique in my case. The other thing was I genuinely, sometimes you doubt it, but I genuinely think entrepreneurship, like I am an entrepreneur by nature. um, Now when I'm starting Meru Life, which is fast forward 16 years, that company I have exited and so on and so forth. I had big plans about taking a break, doing some solo travel, doing some whatever, backpacking or whatever it is. I just couldn't, like, before I could catch my breath, I was already doing this because I was so excited, so consumed by the idea. So, there was that element that my nature is like that. Right? Even if my dad would have been an entrepreneur, if my nature was not like that, then I would not have done it. So, my dad was there. This entrepreneurship thing is probably something that is my nature also. I met such brilliant co founders. They are my mentors. They are the giants on whose shoulders I stood, right? So, that also is like, pure serendipity. It's like, sometimes the universe gives you a signal and you're like, boss, this is it. So, I mentioned Sanjay. So Sanjay left in the break, right? He must have thought, who is this irritating fellow? He left in the break.
What was the age difference? Like Sanjay was also right after college?
No. Sanjay is 46. I was 21.
Oh, damn. Then yeah, it makes sense, right?
I was 22. Sanjay was 46. I was 22. So he must have been like, oh. And Sanjay and Harish had done one more business before that, and so on and so forth. Then after that business, for a couple of years, they were professionals. They were Harish was a president of some companies, Sanjay was a CEO of some companies. So they were doing very well in their professional careers. But again, this is a serendipity thing. So that was a time when, and this is a again. Serendipity, yeah, that Shah Rukh Khan dialogue, Puri Kainat sort of thing,
Yes.
So what happened is that
Like if you want something, the universe will get it to you.
here तो मुझे पता भी नहीं था कि I want it. The universe just did it, right?
Okay.
So it's even beyond that. So what happened was my dad's boss was in town, and my dad's boss. So I said, you know what, to my dad. So by that time, my dad had finished his entrepreneurial journey, and he was working. He was leading the India office of a global company.
Okay.
So my dad's boss was in town. So I told my dad that I think your company should use social media to promote itself. Okay, so पूरा deck वेक बनाया मैंने. I said, your boss is here. You please show him this presentation. So few days later, I asked him क्या हुआ उसका. So my dad told me that I showed him. One of his friends is also pitching to him something related to social media.
Okay.
I was like, okay, it's like 2009, man. How many people are thinking about social media? So someone else is also pitching him about social media. And so what I did is that, so he's something like, I sent your presentation to the other person who's pitching him social media. I'm like, isn't this conflict of interest? That's my competitor.
Why to even do that?
Or whatever it is. So I said, what are you, who is this person? So he says, I don't remember the name. And then he described the person. And that met Sanjay Mehta's description. So I'm like, what is happening? So then I said, okay, I need you to talk to, your boss. I need to talk to Karthik uncle and tell me what is that person's name. So it was actually Sanjay. Sanjay and my dad's boss were classmates.
Oh God.
I'm like, this is insane.
Seriously.
So so my dad's boss was in town for a few days. So he invited my dad and me and Sanjay for breakfast.
Okay.
So then we met, we had a conversation, and then it was breakfast and I had office the next day. So for 15 months I worked at a company making apps. So I think our conversation went on for very long. So Sanjay said, I'll drop you to your office. Now Sanjay doesn't live anywhere close to my office. But from there, so Sanjay dropped me to my office and we had more conversation, went really well. And then I met him again 1 or 2 times, and that's how the deal got sealed. Then, of course, Harish was also in that mode where he was about to move out from his company and so on. So some of these things are like, so these, you said, why did I do it? So these are reasons, right? Like my dad has paved the way for me because he's made the really tough decisions of middle class Maharashtrian family boy wanting to do entrepreneurship. I didn't have to make that decision. He did it. He faced whatever challenges he faced and made my path easy. The second thing is, yeah, what was the second thing? There was a second reason which I mentioned, which I'm now forgetting.
The universe getting
Then
you,
the third
aligning
reason was
everything.
the universe, kind of. Second reason is that my nature is of an entrepreneur, right? And the third reason is universe aligning. The kind of support which I got, like my wife, she fully supported me, right? Because we were not married then. She fully supported me. Ki shadi hone wali hai, but you're leaving your job. You're not going to do post graduation. Everybody in our batch did post graduation, right?
Okay.
So she supported me. My to-be mother-in-law, imagine having that conversation that I'm going to get married to your daughter, but I'm leaving my job and I may not do a post graduation. She supported me. I mean, ये कहाँ मिलता है यार? I mean, this is insane. So I think I got very, very lucky. And yeah, that's how these things happen.
Okay, in your case, okay, there are a sequence of luck involved, or let's say pieces of
100%.
domino, one thing led to another. But let's say in any entrepreneur's life, okay, according to you with your experience, what is the amount of or the ratio of I control everything or universe makes it happen? What is the ratio? In your case, I think it is 80%, like it made it happen.
So I'll just do one reality check. ये तो मेरे देखने का नजरिया है कि I'm telling you the good things which happened.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things which happened in the reverse direction also. I choose not to focus on that.
Got
Okay,
it.
so
Got it.
I don't want anybody to feel कि ये बहुत ही आसान था. There were enough and more things that happen and continue to happen. It's your perspective of looking at things. I may be wired to remember and look at only the positive things. If I be गिनने जाऊंगा कि what were the obstacles, so there were many obstacles. No, I think, the point is that you have to be an optimist, you have to be a positive thinker, you have to be somebody who focuses on the positives. If you have to look at entrepreneurship as a seriously long-term thing. Because if you're not that, then the negatives will simply overwhelm you. So Harish, who's my other co-founder at Social Wavelength, and he's the chairman of Meru. He's someone who kind of exemplifies this thing about this having such a, even if the world is collapsing around you, you have to find a way to you cannot be at the mercy of your external circumstance, right? You have decided. So if Harish decides something, God as my witness, it will happen, right?
Okay.
So it's like that. You have to, बाजू कुछ भी हो, so you have to still get what you want. So I think it's about focusing and recalibrating. There's of course luck involved. Luck is a big factor, but I think there is that element about entrepreneurship of having that what all words you can say, grit, doggedness, determination, कि आजू बाजू चीजें होंगी, अच्छी भी होंगी, बुरी भी होंगी. You have to do what is, of course, you're not always successful. There have few people who do it, but that has to be your approach. I mean, the point is, even if you're not successful, next time you have to go with the same approach. That is the
without losing that enthusiasm.
Without losing the enthusiasm, yeah.
I read somewhere that if you need to be really successful, you need to be delusionally optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the delusional part, but you need to be optimistic for sure. Delusion is like, can lead to bad decisions. Or you have to recognize all of that. Like I'm telling you, I gave you like all the examples where it was like a red carpet rolled out for me ki ye karo. But I am not delusional, means if I have to really make a decision, I will not make a decision based on the red carpet view. I will then tabhi I will make all the precautions that the really bad stuff doesn't happen. So I won't say delusional,
Yeah,
but
rational optimism.
optimist, absolutely rational optimism, and like the default state is optimism. Matlab, you can feel bad and you can feel upset and you can feel whatever it is for some amount of time, but then you default back to optimism. वो होना kind of ज़रूरी है.
Got it, got it. In the past 16 years, okay, you were into digital marketing. How has the landscape changed in 2009 till all the way till 2025?
It's completely changed so many times. And we saw over the course, I mean, there was a time when we started in 2009. We used to create Orkut was like a dominant social network back then. There was no Instagram. I don't think there was a WhatsApp. Facebook was kind of the up and coming this thing. Twitter was there. Twitter was where these elite type of people
Celebrities, big shots.
correct, that's what it was. So it was a very very different landscape. When Facebook let's say 2009-10 era तो बहुत ही ज़्यादा अलग था. 11 onwards, I think, or 10-11 onwards, these Facebook pages and people following those Facebook pages era started.
So even before that, let's say before 2011, Facebook pages were not there. It was only Facebook as a connecting element, a connecting platform.
Yeah, I think there was some rudimentary form of brand profiles or brand pages, but it was very rudimentary.
Okay.
The features that you had, the what you could do there. In some ways, oh my God, the biggest change in 2009, 10, 11, Facebook was a desktop first platform.
Oh.
And the one of Mark Zuckerberg's great things that he continues to do to this day is he recognizes how user behavior, technology trends are changing. So Facebook being a desktop first platform to Facebook being a mobile first platform just broke everything. Facebook used to have this thing called tabs, and on Facebook tabs you could design these very beautiful mini websites. So much of our work for clients, and we worked with some TV channels as clients back then, so very visual, very whatever. Creating these tabs was like a big part of the money that we used to make, and suddenly in like 3 months, 6 months, tabs are gone. They're just gone, because then it became about posting updates. And then that time organic reach was possible on Facebook and all of these. So you used to post 5 updates every day, because 5 updates meant you get 5 times you get that much reach. From that to it becoming a more media focused platform, complete change. The whole mobile thing, rise of influencers, rise of Instagram, rise of WhatsApp. I mean, these things just Orkut just went away one day. Twitter kept this whole thing about social listening. So we recognize social listening very early. Back in 2012, we set up our social listening command center, and the 24/7 command center. And I know people who are today leaders in the social listening space in the country. Many of them are people who worked with us in the past. We've had people who build these big social listening tools, very very successful companies. I've had the CEO of one of those companies tell me that because anywhere we went, they used to point saying social wavelength ne jaise kiya hai, we want to set up that sort of a command center, right?
Damn.
So social listening became like a thing and continues to remain so big. Media, the importance of paid media on social channels became so big. Technology. So I think that there is this constant process of evolution, and one way of looking about it is destruction and creation of new stuff. There is absolutely no semblance to what the platforms and the strategies that worked on the platforms look like. Even consumer behavior has completely changed over these years, right? I mean, back in 2009, there was no such thing as e-commerce. Forget quick commerce.
Yep.
Right? I mean, Flipkart was selling books in 2009, right? There was no Amazon in India, right? So the landscape was very different. So I would say complete chalk and cheese difference. And it's not even like chalk and cheese. It's like chalk and cheese, then that cheese became something else, then that became something else, and that became something else. So it's like I would say 5 or 6 complete reinventions have happened. and that's something that we have had to kind of contend with and live through. And not everybody was able to do that, by the way. We saw so many organizations, there was one churn happening at the big, you know kind of stalwart agencies who couldn't re-architect themselves
Adapt
fast
themselves.
enough, adapt themselves fast enough. But they were not the only ones who were facing it. Even independent agencies or smaller digital agencies, they became really good at one thing, and then the platforms changed or the strategy changed, they also couldn't adapt. So it's not just like big guys couldn't adapt. Even the small, so-called should be nimble guys couldn't adapt. But that was like a major thing that we've seen. So we've seen multiple reinventions. In 2019, the latest one that we saw in 2019, um, technology services, and this is called Martech, which is marketing
Marketing
technology.
technology.
Martech services were probably 25 to 30% of our revenue.
Okay.
When I left earlier this year, it was 70% of our revenue.
Oh, wow.
Right. So and the company has grown many fold in that much time. So not only is the percentage this thing changing, this is happening while the company is growing significantly. So there is a big this change and evolution was absolutely constant throughout this 16-year period.
How do you stay so much relevant as in the company? Okay. You are very right, because so many companies just extinguished. They were not able to adapt at the speed of, let's say, technology or social media is adapting. Okay.
Right.
Were you well prepared for that? Or let's say you have a certain strategy, anything new comes up, you set up a small team, guys, go explore this. How did you take on that?
Yeah, I think we had at some point it was happening. I mean, Sanjay Harish, having been there before and run companies before, maybe it was natural for them. But at some point, we kind of institutionalized the process of creative destruction. That every time we have to start something new, so that even if something old goes away, we have a new area, right? So just to, there was a time when we started we became resellers very early on, 12 or 13, 2012 or 2013, for a tool called Radian 6, which was a social listening tool. No agency in the country was doing any technology or tool sales. We became a Radian 6 reseller. We read a report in 2016 saying that in 2 years, this was a Gartner report, I think, in 2 years, CMOs would spend more on technologies than CIOs, right? Which was the harbinger of the Martech revolution. We became partners with Salesforce, which we did a lot of work with for 4-5 years. We continue to do, I mean, the Mirum continues to do that. But we also then partnered with multiple other technology vendors completely. Like I said, we went in that Martech services way. I told you about the command center that we created, continues to this day. We started in 2021, just post COVID, or in fact during COVID. We started a new vertical called the healthcare vertical. We created video production capabilities in house, media capabilities in house. We started a healthcare vertical, which I mentioned. We were exploring a sustainability vertical, which we didn't do, but one of my colleagues and very good friends, he's now gone out and set up a sustainability agency now. So like, there was this almost institutionalized process that every year almost we have to do something new, and that kind of gives us that the evolution process pe head start, that we are not evolving because something breaks and now what do we do. That trying out new stuff is inbuilt into what we do.
Okay, so you made it part of the process.
Absolutely.
That you don't wait till the evolution comes to you. You need to keep on evolving so you're ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. That is the creative destruction, self cannibalization. Because why is that? You have to remember, every time you start something new, you put resources in a new area, you're removing them from somewhere else.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're consciously saying that something might get destroyed.
True. So you use data as a leverage to understand what to build next or what to work on next?
Not always. Like in some cases, like Martech and all of that, the data was very clearly pointing in that direction. Healthcare, the data was very clearly pointing in that direction. In some cases, it is about your instinct, so to start something, I think instinct is also enough. Then how much money to put in it, how much, that you need data to see market kaise react kar raha hai, whatever it is. But there are times when instinct is important. Like if you have the instinct ki nahi ye to hona hi hai boss, we have to do it, then that instinct is enough to start. See, it's like, again, this is the whole entrepreneurship versus non-entrepreneurship kind of thinking, right? In entrepreneurship, you will have to make decisions in the absence of complete information, complete data. You have to make decisions such that you know that concept. I think Jeff Bezos has a concept of one-way gates and two-way gates, right?
One-way door and two-way doors.
One-way door and two-way door, right? So if it's a two-way door, like if you make a decision, it turns out to be wrong, you walk back through the door. If it's a one-way door, then I understand. You have to be more circumspect. You have to look at more data. You have to look at more stuff. Then only you should do it. But I don't think it's always data. Instinct is a big role to play. I'm a big believer in instinct.
That's true, because I read if you are waiting till you get 100% of the data, you're already too late.
Absolutely, 100%,
Right?
100% agree.
What's your gut feeling regarding digital marketing for the upcoming years?
Yeah, I think if you were only looking at it with the lens of AI and with the lens of whatever it is, you will feel this disruption has never happened before. And which may be true to a certain extent. I mean, the scale of disruption and the nature of changes could be very dramatically large and so on. But the fact of the matter is, like I was saying, this complete change has happened 5-6 times in the last few years, right?
True.
So if I was building an agency which was not ready for the mobile world, I would have been, I would 110% have been, out of action even back then. So I think, of course, this is a huge change and you cannot afford to underestimate it, and so on and so forth. But you just have to find a way to adapt. The shape of agency itself is changing. Like one of my ex-colleagues, he's working at a place which is like I don't know, I don't think they use that word, but it's like the how you have conferences and anti-conferences. This is like an anti-agency in the sense there is no central, there's no creative team in house, there's no strategy in house, there is business team is in house, and then depending on the requirement at hand, you pull in the right resources and you create a team for that project. I mean, that could be the way that agencies have to evolve. But the point is, there's no doubt that there's a super disruptive change that is happening, but it's not like we haven't seen change. I mean, the last 15 years have only been about change. Maybe the change is faster and bigger this time, but you just have to figure out how to adapt to it. We've had to do it multiple times in the past. So yeah.
Got it. By any chance, anytime you would have thought ki instead of having this big of a team, if I had a smaller team, I could have achieved something else? Because having a bigger team is like, of course, more output, more productivity, but also equally more responsibilities.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't think we ever shied away from the responsibility. And again, a lot of credit probably goes to Sanjay and Harish because they had seen these big organizations before. I think before this, Sanjay was the CEO of a company which had 1,000 people. Harish was a president of a company which was few hundred crores. So they had seen big things before. So probably they had that wisdom. I think one of the things that we knew is that we wanted to build something substantial. Our investors always gave us the guidance that you go for scale. Don't do something which is boutique. You go for scale. That was what our investors told us. Again, this is not the right advice for everybody. Yeah? It's not a blanket advice for everybody. So these investors, by the way, they were investors in Sanjay Harish's previous company. Today, many of them are investing in Meru also. So these are people who've been with us for many years.
Right.
Like, absolutely, right? So now, it's like we have to find a way to, like, they know us as people. They know the circumstance that we are in. So their advice to us was go for scale. And that's where, we took that decision seriously. And one of the reasons, let's say, the acquisition outcome happened was because we got scale very rapidly. Pretty much many of the big networks were talking to us for acquisition and so on. And then we had this situation where um, somebody told us that they were talking to few other agencies for acquisition. And when they used to ask those agencies, like they asked, who else is there, who do you consider competition, he said all the people we spoke to mentioned Social Wavelength, right,
Oh,
because of the scale that we had. So
okay.
so in that regard, that ability and the decision to scale really worked for us.
So that is the journey of Social Wavelength become Miram India, right?
Yeah, that's
So
right.
these investors, they were approaching all the other agencies, since everyone said Social Wavelength is what we're looking for. They directly came to you.
I mean, I'm sure there were other factors because they were also talking
Of
to
course,
us,
yeah.
but this was a feedback that they gave us,
Hmm.
which was directly attributable to the fact that we were, by 2014, probably 100 people.
Hmm.
We were doing a lot of good work. A lot of that work was getting a lot of
Yeah,
popularity,
recognition.
recognition. So that was, they were talking to a few people. Of course, in our case, again, they also look at the kind of team, the leaders,
Hmm.
the fact that we were building a highly process oriented, built for the long term sort of company. We were not, trying to do something which is a short term, quick. We were not that, right? And
Hmm.
that was very evident when they would speak to us also. I think, again, once somebody had used this term, which is stuck in my mind. They said, you're a very robust team. They were not talking about us physically being
Hmm.
robust. They were talking about the fact that the team is built to sustain. So
Hmm.
so so that's the way that probably also helped. Of course, work was, I mean, the nature of work was very different because we had this social listening, we had all of
Hmm.
this. The kind of work was, I mean, some of the campaigns that we did, um, they were just like, now to think of it, in 2009 we had four bloggers sitting in four Tata Nanos because that was a launch car. See how old that is. Go to four corners of the country blogging about it all the way, right? I mean, this is before any influencer, any
Hmm.
whatever it is, right? We did a campaign with Channel V called On Yours, where we built a app on top of the Twitter API back then,
Damn.
where anybody who signs up to that app, their display picture turns into the Channel V logo for 8 hours randomly in the day.
Okay.
We did something called Twitter tab for Reliance when Reliance launched its 3G tab,
Hmm.
which was a big thing back then, where you see a map and that map is zoomed out, happening in 5 cities in parallel on the same day, and every time you tweet with hashtag Reliance Twitter tab, the map zooms in, and after some 4,000 tweets per city, it zooms into the specific location where a tab is hidden, and then whoever reaches there first. So there are people who are tweeting and in a kalipili cab kind of going closer and closer to that location. So once it's revealed, there's like 10 people running to grab the
Oh,
tab, and like
damn.
insane stuff. So the
Okay.
work also was such that it was, like really crazy stuff that we did back in the day. So team was great, work was great. It was a long term, robust kind of
Hmm.
organization. So all of these things probably played a role in getting us acquired. Yeah.
Great. So you personally, are you more focused on the operational aspect, or do you also get into the creativity aspect, or you just get the right people on board who help you do that?
So I think, of course, now I'm not on
Yeah.
the agency anymore. So I have done a fair bit of both. So I think, over the course of last 5 6 years, Martech has been a majority of the stuff that I did.
Okay.
Martech, including all the, even the social listening tools and all of that. So Martech was a big chunk of what I did in the last few years. But all throughout, what I have done is I've tried to be owning some client relationships, and that I felt really really helps more than anything. And so that's more like a account management,
Mm-hmm.
if you will, client servicing sort of role. And then a lot of technology. I am not traditionally creative, in the sense that I'm not a copywriter, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
not someone who can think of
A
campaign
graphic
ideas.
designer or something.
Yeah, I don't have those hard skills. But what I genuinely feel is I am a good partner to a creative person,
Okay.
right? Like our national creative director, Naila, Kishore, who was a creative director as well. I hope they agree. I think I'm a good partner to them as a account management person, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. If you would have started a digital marketing in 2025, do you even suggest they should start it, especially with the growth of AI and everything? And let's say sometimes you don't need a bigger team to get a lot of different clients because the technology has changed, the landscape has changed. If someone wants to start now, would you say yes or no? And if you say yes, what should be the strategy they should take it ahead?
So in my opinion, it may not be the way that we did it, right? If you know, if marketing excites you, if creating campaigns, creating good work for your clients, including using technology or creativity, if that excites you, you have to do it. And you're an entrepreneur, you have to do it. I think all of the it's just that the nature of doing it would be different today. Like I would do it closer to what I mentioned one of my friends is doing, which is like an anti-agency, which is not necessarily all skills in-house all the time. You have a inner core which is very, very strong at one or two or three things, and then you have a pool of people around you. In fact, they are going one step ahead. They're actually building a platform. They're actually trying to build it like a Airbnb, right? Like you have service providers and you have clients, and then you can and of course it's a managed Airbnb in the sense that their company is there in the middle to orchestrate this. In fact, one of my one of my most recent bosses was a lady named Audrey. She was based out of Singapore. She was a Singaporean lady. She used to love this word called orchestration. And I think this orchestration could be a great kind of thing for a new agency to own.
A kind of a
So
business model where they can use
yeah,
it.
so you have an in-house expertise or capability, which is very good, and other than that, the thing you're really good at is orchestrating an outcome for a client. I think that can be very, very valuable. Like clients would give a hand and a leg for that sort of service. Yeah.
Interesting. You did really good in No Miram India. Life was going great. Why did you stop and started Meru Life? You wanted to take a break, but you just couldn't take it, right? Because you're like, nahi yaar, ye kuch na kuch karna, and that's how you started, right?
Yeah.
But why Meru Life and why focus more on senior citizens?
So there was this itch to keep doing new stuff. So 16 years had happened. Our technically our journey with WPP was whatever their obligation to us was done. Our obligation to them was done. WPP was a fantastic experience. I mean, they were really, really good as a parent company. I like to believe we were really good as an acquisition, both financially. I know we were very good for them and for us, but also in terms of the collaboration and so on and so forth, it was really good. So there was our obligations were done, but the relationship was great. So there was no reason, so to speak, to leave, but the itch to do something new and try something new was always kind of there. And as an entrepreneur, what ends up happening is, I'm sure you do this too, is that you keep talking about ideas. Arey, ye karna chahiye, we should try this. This is so exciting. You have that thing, and then you say, oh, but I have a business to run, so you can't always do that, right? So
True.
when you're in that transition phase, like I somewhere in the back of my head, I knew last year maybe I can transition out and so on and so forth. So there were a lot of ideas similarly, then now they had started seeming real because maybe, I'm going to move out at some point. But then what happens is that, one of the ideas that, in fact, Sanjay, Harish and me, again, we discussed this idea together. We must have done that in maybe a year ago, about doing something in the senior space.
Okay.
Sanjay and Harish were obviously now they had already reached that age. But in my case, what happened was there were a few incidences that happened in my family, in my life, which were like they had a big impact on me, which were related to seniors in my family. So you may have 12 ideas in a year, like one every month. But then because this space was top of mind for me, this just stuck.
Okay.
It just stuck, and then it refused to go away. So June, we must have had this discussion. Kept thinking. Of course, I had a agency to run, and so on. After Sanjay Harish's exit, so they exited much before. They exited end of 2023.
Okay.
And they were on the board for a few months after that, but operationally, they had exited, and so they had started doing some work. I couldn't because I was still running the agency. I just kept thinking about it, and then when I decided to move on, after that, when I spoke to Sanjay and Harish, and I said, okay, this is what I want to do, because it was so top of mind and it had stuck so much for me. And then earlier this year, 2025, when I moved on, I kind of came on board Meru as CEO. Harish had already done, Sanjay is an investor, Harish is the chairman. Harish had already spent a lot of time on Meru, kind of, crystallizing some of the stuff.
The ideas,
name was
who it
there,
should
the
be.
ideas, all of that was kind of done by Harish. And then I came on board as CEO earlier this year.
Interesting. So even after having so many, this idea was top of your mind. So that's why you plunged on it, right? Just like the gut feeling कि नहीं यार यही करना चाहिए. That way.
So it was top of mind, and there was a salience, like they say in marketing language. Salience means something that brings this apart from all the other stuff that you're thinking of, right? In my case, that salience was because of some of the stuff that I had seen happening around me in my life, personal life, and offline. I can talk about it also. But this is the stuff that really made it salient for me. So yeah, that's the reason I took this up. Yeah.
How does it feel to be a beginner again in business? At one point you are running a team of 350 people, and right now you're starting everything again. How does it feel?
Oh, it's amazing, man. It is so amazing. It is like like you have to decide. Like, I'll give you a simple example. This is a problem I've not thought about in like 12, 13 years. कि चाबी किस को देना है? Who's going to open the office in the morning? It may seem silly, but it's like a real thing.
Exactly,
you have to think about it.
When you're running Miram, this thought doesn't come to your mind.
पिछले 12-13 साल से तो नहीं है.
हाँ, right.
When I go into the office is already open. Somebody's already kept a coffee cup for me. Water is there. Like, it's set. Now I have to think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what other thoughts are like, this is one thing, thinking like, अरे यार ये सब तो करना था, मैंने किया ही नहीं. It's been such a long time. Any such thoughts?
No, so I obviously that recognition was there that everything will have to be done by you. There is no support system. Now, of course, over the course of the last 2-3 months, we've hired some people, but earlier that is not there. So everything has to be done by you. That is a given. Because I've done it before, and because whatever, it's not like I jumped into it without knowing what would be the repercussion or without knowing what would be the ask. So that was there, and I was ready for it. So it's not like I got shocked into something, but I'm just saying it shines through with these small incidences.
Unplanned, unexpected thoughts,
unexpected thoughts. Like, I remember 2-3 times it struck me. Like, I went to Chroma to buy a laptop for the first person who came on board. That was like, I haven't done that. I haven't done that in a very, very long time. I've WhatsApped myself the GST number so I don't forget. मेरे में GST number कभी मैंने किसको दिया था? I used to CFO used to do it, right? So so these are, but it's not like it was unexpected. Obviously, start करना.
But it's not like, for example, even when you're starting a new company, after old company, okay, company register करना, you need team members, you need process in place and everything. Right. But things like, यार laptop भी लेना है ना, यार काम कैसे करेगा वो?
So that's what I'm saying. So there are these things, you have to do it, but then while you're doing it, that thought comes to mind. Okay, it's been a long time since I had to do this.
That's crazy.
Like when we started in Social Wavelength, we had taken up this gala in a building in Govandi, and it was like a 200 square foot gala. And in 2 years, we had 9 galas in that building, rented 9 galas, because we kept growing, right? And then from there, to move to that new office, when we were doing that, we were doing the packing, we were doing everything, because you have to move to that office, right? But uske baad, whatever shifts we did, whatever it is, then you don't have to think about all this. I have to think of all of these things again, So yeah, it's super fun. it's like a phase that you want to relive
Interesting. Yeah.
again and again. It's like having kids. Like you want to have more kids, but
You don't want to.
but anyway, that's on a lighter note. But I'm saying that yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Interesting.
I think the point is, I'm also noticing this, so I'm also saying it as I notice it. I mean, I'm tending to always remember the good,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
good,
That is true.
good
That
parts.
is true. Yeah.
I mean, there are also crazy
Of
things
course. Of course.
that
Yeah.
happen, but yeah, I tend to remember the happy and good
That's, I
parts.
believe, is the best way of looking at things instead of
Yeah.
अरे यार ये तो करना था भूल गया अरे ये भी करना है.
Right.
Right? Yeah. So that's, even the beginning of the conversation, we have the same thing.
Yeah.
Start, always look at the bright things of life, no matter what you're going through.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. When it comes to Meru, okay, now this is your second startup or your second business. Okay, what is just one lesson that you took from Meru and want to imply that on Meru, or something that you're already using in Meru?
I think we are building a company for the long term. We are building a company that hopefully will create a positive impact on people's lives. Um, when we were building Miram, also we knew for a fact that this was not a gig that we were doing. We wanted to build for long term. We wanted to build something that will last a long time, and we were putting in place the framework in order to do that. Very similar approach that we are taking building Meru as well. Want to build something for the long term. Miram, of course, we are very proud of what we did. We feel that over the years, thousands and thousands of people would have worked at Miram. We think we positively impacted their lives. We think we positively impacted the lives of our clients. So many people that were part of the family. This time at Meru, we want to do that, of course, but we genuinely feel we have an opportunity to do something that will have a positive impact on society also. So we are very excited about that aspect. Yeah.
So you're a very focused and a very long-term person, right? Because even when we were running Miram, you never had any like a side project or a second startup or something. We just focus on one thing, and you were always in for the long run.
Yeah.
Right?
No, absolutely. And that may be because of lack of ability. Like I cannot do two things at the same time.
Okay.
It may not
That's
be because
focus,
of
right?
maybe, but I'm saying that even if like I wanted to, I couldn't do it. Not I didn't ever want to, but even if I wanted to, I could never do it because the type of person that I am, I can only focus like work wise at least. Of course, family and all is always there, and you have to give that a lot of importance. But work wise, I really find it very difficult to. Within that work, there can be multiple things, and that I do well. But like I can't be riding two horses. Not I
Okay.
can't do Ajay Devgan.
Okay, so you're more like a Steve Jobs person rather than an Elon Musk, right? Who can like run multiple things simultaneously.
No, I'm none of these people. Just a normal like I just I can't I do what I do. I can do only one thing. Yeah.
Hmm. What actually motivates you? Because at this point of life, especially after the successful exit of Miram, okay, I don't think money is an issue for you, and money at the same time motivates you. So, what actually motivates you?
So I wouldn't say money is not an issue for me, but the point is,
Well, that boils down to how much you want, right?
so I don't think money is not an issue for me. Money is an issue, unfortunately, for everybody, and you have to, you have to take a approach that now with the family. I have two kids. I have to think of money not just from a selfish point of view. I have to think of money because it will have. There are people who are dependent on me also. So there is definitely a money element that is part of the motivation mix, I would say.
Okay.
But I genuinely feel there are other things also that are probably higher up on the hierarchy. Excitement of building a new company itself is a big motivator. Biggest motivator I think is that we want to build this as a mission oriented company. We have a manifesto on the website right now before the products are getting launched, and the manifesto says that we think this is a company जहाँ पर धन और दुआ दोनों मिल सकते हैं, right? So धन है उसके अंदर, right? I've mentioned the धन, but दुआ भी मिल सकती है. So that this mission orientation of the company is probably the biggest motivation. So there are many motivations, that's the way I look at it. Yeah.
I went through the website, of course, of Meru Life, and a very interesting thing, because the first thing which I saw was a manifesto.
Right.
Right? It's like you're doing something, but you mention why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And you've clearly mentioned it's a for-profit organization. You not mention it's a non-profit organization. It's a for-profit organization, right?
Absolutely.
So that a manifesto, okay. And the first thing that came to my mind when I read that manifesto, when I saw this element of having a manifesto on the website, is it because of your marketing aspect that helped you, that you should lead with why in the first place, that you should have a mission rather than focus, or these are the products, this is what you're doing? No, this is why we are doing it.
So I think the why was very important for us while starting the company. Like I said, um, there were many ideas that, or there are many ideas that keep flying around, right? The reason why this idea stuck or this idea had salience was a why reason, right? The why was the reason the idea stuck. If the why was not there, there were so many other ideas. I mean, the most often thing that people thought I was going to do was I was going to start a Martech agency, and that would have been the obvious thing to do,
Obviously, like
right?
इसके बाद यही करना है.
Because you have you have all the you build that business before, you have the connections, you have learnings, you have whatever it is. So that was, a lot of people thought about that. In fact, I was lucky enough that a lot of people approached me when they heard about my exit. uh, Big people in the industry saying, if you're doing this, do it with me, that sort of stuff. So ये obvious था, लोगों को लग रहा था कि ये होगा. But the reason we chose this idea, which was a departure, it's a product company. I've never built a product company before. It's a very different market, a hard to crack market, by the way. Active seniors. Why is literally the only thing that's why we are doing this, right? Or the most important thing we are doing this. So that's why talking about the why made sense for us. Yeah.
Great. So when I got to know that you're exiting, Miram, I had that why question, like, क्यों छोड़ना है? Okay, but because you have a much bigger why, right, of
Yeah.
starting Meru Life. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And there also what ended up happening was, our we had also, so our obligations to WBP and their obligations to us went off very well. They got over end of 2023. We actually, I spent a lot of time making sure that a lot of things are in place so that our teams are
The transition is good.
properly absorbed within the WPP ecosystem. So there was, क्यों छोड़ना है was not because of Meru, right? The fact that I want to move on and do something else, that was already there. Now that I have done that, when to do it, what to do afterwards, that was all because of Meru.
Okay.
but moving on somewhere, right? Like, you've completed a 16-year journey, you kind of know that there is something you want to do beyond it. So yeah.
Okay, got it. I've heard about you being the calmest person, and leading. Iske pehle we had another episode, and we had Suresh Menon. He emphasized on the importance of silent leadership, where people, they're not loud, but they're leading the team, they're making change, and they're making an impact. And I believe you are that kind of a person. I want to understand the kind of leaders Miriam has created over these years, because a great leadership is how you create even more leaders, right? So, what kind of leadership you have seen in your company?
Yeah. Oh, I think in this regard, I think this was a place where, with all humility, I think we hit a home run. The kind of leadership that we created and the kind of leaders they turned out to be, almost entirely because of their ability and their hard work, is just absolutely fantastic. Till today, I hear feedback where people from the WPP, VML organizations specifically call up and call out, saying that the breed of leaders that Miriam has created is absolutely phenomenal. I think one of the things that we were able to do very early on was, we were able to build a relationship with those leaders, which was a very empowered and trusting relationship, where they started believing, and rightly so, and it was the truth, that Miriam is a place for them to build, right? So and a lot of the things that happened, good things that happened in Miram, originated from those leaders. And probably the only thing that the thing that us as Miram founders did was we gave that platform, freedom, whatever it is. The complete success of that was because of their innate ability. So some of the leaders, one very interesting thing that we are seeing is many of the folks who have were in Miram for a long time, they are now going on to start their own companies, and they are going on to start their own entrepreneurial ventures. And that's like a really really exciting thing for us to see, because it's like they are taking a part of Miram with them, and they are using that to plant a new garden. It's really really exciting, and all of that to see. um, I think one of the things that kind of really helped in this whole leadership thing was we were able to create platforms for those leaders, which they took advantage of, right? Like, it was not, suppose, let's say WBP ecosystem is a massive ecosystem, and they have platforms for women leaders, they have platforms for people who are in strategy, they have platforms for people who are creative, they have platforms whatever. I don't think any of us kind of hogged the Sanjay, Harish, or me for that matter, did not hog those platforms for ourselves. It was very easy to nominate ourselves only for all of these things, right?
Yeah.
That's not
Since
what
you're already leading, you're already
that's
at the top.
not that's not the approach that we took. So the platforms were there, and to their credit, the leaders really shone in those platforms. So that was also one thing that really helped. So yeah, that I think is one place where I can very confidently say we hit a home run.
Nice. What are the common characteristics you've seen in truly great leaders? And you've been a leader. You've created more leaders through Middle, right? And you also love history. So you've seen a lot of historical figures who have been great leaders. What, according to you, what are some of the common characteristics which you can see among all the leaders?
Yeah, so I think this is a book that I will write at some point, or we need like 2-3 different podcasts for this. So it's very difficult to talk about such broad sweeps, especially if you bring history and all. It's a very broad sweep. But I think um, this I think in Good to Great, if I either in Good to Great or in Built to Last, in one of these books, the author defines these levels of leaders.
The flywheel effect?
Flywheel is Flywheel effect is different. Same author,
Yeah, same author.
but here he says there is level 5, level 1 to level 5 kind of leaders. Like, in Pacific Rim, you have those monsters,
Oh, yeah.
category
Oh, yeah.
1 to category
Oh, yeah.
5 kaiju. Like that,
Kaijus, yeah.
like that you have. I think it defines level 1 to level 5. And that level 5 leader, I think one of the things that exemplifies those level 5 leaders, and I may be butchering this, but it is that they are not doing what they are doing for limelight. So they are really good. They have all the great characteristics of level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. All of those best characteristics are there. They're also not doing it for limelight. They're not doing it for their personal glory. They are trying to build something that is bigger than themselves.
Yep.
I think if that is there, I mean, of course, at that level, at like level 5, being good at your job, being organized, being excellent, being creative, all of these things are table stakes.
Yeah.
Uske baad, the thing that really separates the great ones are the fact that they are not doing it for personal glory or limelight. I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, even I've read that.
But
at level 5, it is like, to a certain extent, you're not doing it for yourself.
yeah, exactly. So I think that thing is common, and I think I can, I mean, in this context, I can definitely connect it to even historical leaders. The this somewhere I feel matches with that Maslow's hierarchy also. The top is like self-actualized, right?
Yep.
Even historical leaders, the big ones, were doing it. They were not necessarily doing it for personal glory. They got a lot of personal glory, but that's not what they were after, right? There was a bigger goal. In fact, in one of our leadership meets, and we were talking about this offline, that how do you plan your year. We used to have
Yep.
these
Yep.
annual kind of leadership meets, and that was the year when I'd really gotten into reading about Maratha history. And you see the map of the Maratha Empire um, in the year that Chhatrapati Shivaji passed away, and then you see the map, and it's a I mean, a lot of area covered, but you see the map of the Maratha Empire, um, 60 years after he passes away,
Okay.
and it is 5 times bigger than it was during his lifetime.
Oh.
And the only reason that that this happened was he created an ideal, which is Swaraj, which was not about him. And he was the inspiration, and he was whatever it is, but it was about that you're ruling yourself sort of ideal that he created, that even after he was no longer there, um, generations of people fought for that ideal, so that the Maratha Empire was actually at its peak several decades after Shivaji Maharaj was no longer there. Right, so that, I mean, if I have to bring in the historical sweep, this is what I would say, that they're doing it for something bigger than themselves, and of course they get a lot of glory, well deserved glory, but they're doing it for something bigger than themselves, and that really inspires people. So I think that's what great leaders are. If we can do even 0.001%, that this is what we should take from them.
So it's more about having the right ideologies and spreading the right ideologies so that others can have the right kind of life.
Yeah, I mean, again, this why comes to the thing, right?
Yeah.
Why are we doing it? Are we doing it because I want to, like, someone wants to get some CEO of the Year award, someone wants to uh, buy an island? I mean, those can be outcomes, but why are we doing this? If it is genuinely something bigger than oneself and one's personal glory, then other people also get inspired by it, they rally around it, and so on. And honestly, I don't think this can be faked. Like, you can try to fake it, but there's, at some point in time, it becomes obvious that this is not true. So I think that's what really separates this level 5
Leaders.
people. Yeah.
And I think there is a certain level of, I would say, human instinct to find out if a person is faking it or not. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like they're
100%.
saying something, but nahi, yeah, this is not the same person. Ye kuch aur hi bol rahe, but he is someone else.
100%. 100%. People can tell, and then the impact is worse. Then it's worse than being an outright, person saying, "Nahi, ye to mere glory ke liye." Worse than that is being someone who's trying to behave as if it's for something bigger,
Yeah.
but it's not. So yeah.
True, true. How do you separate the ego element? Because I believe if you want to get into the level 5 kind of leadership, you're doing it for others more than you're doing it for yourself, and you're doing it for unselfish reasons. Like, you don't want to buy something, and that is the reason you're building this huge empire, right? You are just doing it for the sake of others and for some noble pursuit, right? But I believe there needs to be a detachment of ego if you want to do that. Because ultimately, if that ego is involved, you're still doing it for your selfish reasons. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, so I think there is ego and all the, I mean, I don't want to get too philosophical about it, but genuinely I feel, at least this is the case for me, I genuinely recognize the privilege that I have had. I mentioned some of it
Yeah,
also, right,
yeah.
in the past. So it's like, if you have had that much privilege, then it is not possible for ego to creep in at all, because you always know you are standing on top of the shoulders of giants. You are, there have been so many things that have happened around you out of serendipity, out of God's grace, whatever you want to call it, that there is really no place for ego to creep in. Honestly, that's my honest assessment. At the same time, there is, of course, you can't escape the fact that when something happens, you feel good. When your friends come and tell you that, oh, whatever.
Congrats on that award.
So you can't escape that fact. That's natural. So I'm not saying you have to be like, self-actualize to
Yeah.
that level where
Being the stoic, कुछ भी
हाँ
हो,
ऐसा
हाँ.
नहीं कर सकते और वो कर I mean I feel too much of that also is you know too much of that might actually be what's it called in your worldly life.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
may
yeah.
actually be an impediment, so
Yeah.
you don't want to do that also. But I think you have to recognize your privilege, and everybody has some form or the other. I don't think there is anybody who can truly claim that I'm fully self-made. ऐसा तो नहीं होता है
Yeah.
दुनिया में. It doesn't
True.
happen like that.
True.
So if you recognize that, I think the ego part takes care of itself. That's what I feel.
So actually understanding the situation you went through and being grateful for whatever happened, right? So that gratefulness is important.
Absolutely, you got it bang on. That the one way of recognizing privilege means being grateful.
Being grateful.
Really, I mean, if all of these things, all of these juices would not have mixed in just the right proportion and just
the
the
right
right amount
time.
at the right time,
Yeah.
then these things none of it would have happened. So yeah, I think that's the way that I would look at it.
You're a father of 2 kids, right?
Yes.
You started business way younger, okay, and then you get married and then you have 2 kids. So your business values, does it impact your parenting or vice versa, or being a parent changes you the way you look at business or helped you in some way?
I don't think so. I mean, some of these broad sweeps is very difficult for me to draw. So I don't think that, or I have not thought about it, that does it one impact the other or no. I do feel like in my case also, one thing that definitely happened is, you set an example for your kids. So like I said, my dad set an example for me that this is a viable option of doing things. I would like to believe that I'm at least setting an example for my kids. But beyond that, I don't think there are some those LinkedIn posts, five lessons from parenting that I applied to my business. I don't think I have any of those. I don't think I have any of those. If you see me do that on LinkedIn, you can remind me that तूने तो ये बोला था.
Oh, we have
But
actual proof now.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
you're on a marketing agency, but you are a very anti-social person when it comes to social media, is what I believe.
So this is a thing which my team has really pushed me now in the last few months, saying that the founder brand ka zamana hai.
Yeah, founder-led branding.
You have to build a founder brand, and you can ask them when you meet them. I resisted it a lot,
Okay.
but somewhere I get it. Like, of course, you have to change with what is happening,
The adaptation element,
yeah,
right?
you have to adapt, and you have to as much as it is against your personal kind of this thing,
Values
if
and
it
boundaries, still, if the
if it
business
yeah
demands.
if that is a demand of the business, then it's there. So that's what I'm saying. You might see me post this sometime in the future, so you have to
Oh, interesting.
in the DM you have to remind me
Of course.
that
So we are expecting a lot more content then.
yeah.
Good, good. What's the best advice you would give to your children?
To my kids,
Yeah, to your kids. Yeah.
I think this, which seems to be a recurring theme of our conversation. I think you have to thank your stars and count the things that you're grateful for every single day, because there will so many things in so many parts of your life don't happen the way you want it to, and then it is very easy to go into a very dark place, negative place in your mind, think bad thoughts, which will further compound the bad outcomes, and then there's a very bad spiral which people go through. We've seen it with my eyes. There have been, again, like, a lot of incidences in my family which you look at and feel, my god, that's crazy, like really crazy stuff. So I think that's what you have to train yourself to be grateful, train yourself to have positive thoughts. I think that's one very important thing. One very important thing I would say is, don't take people in your lives for granted, because again, that's something which you, especially the ones you're around all the time, or the ones who are selfless, you tend to take them for granted more, because you feel that ठीक है, I mean, that's how that person is. But if you take them for granted, that's not being fair on them. I think these are two things. Again, I'll not give business advice to them because they are 9 and 5. But yeah, these are two things that I would tell them. Yeah.
Great. What's the best business advice you would give?
To my 9-year-old.
No, 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 to yourself. They're kids now, yeah. Let's say if you can go back, okay, 2009, you're starting Social Wavelength. Okay, now there is no WPP, there is no
Yeah.
well chartered structure. Ye investment aane wala, you are going to scale and everything. You're just starting Social Wavelength. What business would you give to yourself?
I would genuinely think I would tell myself that you should be more confident in your own ability and capability and so on and so forth. That's what I would say. I think that is something where there is always this figuring out time. Like I feel it took a while for me to get my stride and get my confidence and so on and so forth. So I would probably go and tell myself that. I would definitely say now, which I would tell myself today also, but I would definitely tell myself to take care of my health, because that's a I missed that beat.
Okay.
Which is okay. It's definitely possible to recover, but I think I missed that beat. And if I wouldn't have missed that beat, things would have been different. So I think these two things, I need to be more confident in my own ability, in my own capability, have a little less self doubt, and yeah, probably not to ignore my health to the extent that I did for several years. Yeah.
Okay, okay. There is this quote where they say you spend a lot of time making money and not taking care of health. Then once you make a lot of money, you invest again in gaining back your health. Right? That shouldn't happen then. It should be balanced.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a question of balance. Honestly, it's not like uh, वो रोल प्लेइंग गेम्स में होता है कि ये आधा हो गया तो ये भी आधा हो जाए. I don't think it's like that. I think it's just a very normal thing that you and I think it is possible also, because so many people do it, right? There are so many
Yeah.
super successful, super
Healthy people.
hardworking,
Yeah.
rich,
People who run
healthy
marathons
people.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just think it's a priority. Like, you have to set that priority for yourself. Uh, my dad, for example, and he's one of the people who we look at as a prototype in Meru, right? My dad, he's really taken health seriously now. I mean, he's not been, by God's grace, very unhealthy. He has diabetes and all that, but he's taken his health so seriously now. He does this 75 hard challenge and he sends me messages about it. Right? I'm
What?
like, exactly. So he's trying to peer pressure me into
Oh,
doing
God.
something. But the
Okay.
point is that it's probably just a priority thing. I don't think it's not possible to do if you're also working hard. I think it's still possible. It's just priority honi chahiye, that's all.
Okay. Got it. Got it. So, what's your perspective on AI? You've been into digital marketing, run this incredibly great agency, and now we are starting as a beginner. And I think it's like the right time you're starting as a beginner. Plus, AI is also evolving. Have you used AI tools? What's your thoughts on AI?
Yeah, no, I've been using them extensively. They are very deeply part of my workflow.
Okay.
And I think it is really, the next stage in being able to empower humans to achieve great things. I think it's really amazing. I think the way Steve Jobs had said that the computer is like a bicycle for the mind, so this is probably like a rocket for the mind, or whatever it is, right? It really enables you to do things that you never could before. Like, I've been making decks, and I've been making documents and whatever it is that I have to make now. I mean, just simple stuff like, firstly, of course, using a tool like deep research to get really, really in-depth understanding of topics which I otherwise have not had the ability to pick up, right? I mean, this is really deep knowledge that you're getting. Or using the image generation and all of these tools to help you with um, you know images or graphs or whatever it is to use with the work that you're doing, or for that matter, rapid skill acquisition on topics which I don't otherwise know about, or have not otherwise spent time doing. It's absolutely phenomenal, and it is very much a part of my workflow, and it is also, I would imagine, over time, further become a deeper part of my workflow. I think in the last generation of apps, or last generation of technologies, the internet and Web 2.0 technologies, I think one of the key reasons why I was able to, I mean, to whatever extent I did, one or two, three key things was: one, I really knew how to do web searches well,
Okay.
right? And this may seem like a strange thing, but it
It may
was,
seem a strange thing now, but
yeah,
not like,
but yeah,
16 years ago.
exactly. Not even 16 years ago, like from the year 2000, 1999, 2000, when search engines first became popular, to like 2010, 11. I mean, the alpha that you could get by being able to do good Google searches is insane, right? And that was one thing. um, I started using Reddit in 2006, when it was like, just kind of come out or whatever. To this day, 2025, like 19 years, the alpha you get by being able to do Reddit properly as a lurker, you don't even have to post stuff.
Yeah.
Just the amount of sheer human experience that you can get out of trying to find out which is the right subreddit for this, and then going deep and reading about it, is mind boggling, right? I feel AI is just 10x of both of these, like just being able to use a tool that can provide information in the right form to you is just such an absolute alpha. If you're able to incorporate this into your regular life, it's just, sky's the limit about what you can achieve, especially as some of these things get integrated with the physical world. As these enter into, like, they're not just interfaces which you do type on a laptop, or have a conversation with. When you start seeing how they are going to be as part of robots, how they're going to be part of drones and so on, I mean, if it becomes second nature for you to be able to work with a AI powered, today it may be a, chat, tomorrow, but it's like you're training yourself to become more conversant with it. Then tomorrow, when it comes in other form factors, you will become that much, it'll be that much easier for you to converse with them, and work with them in those other form factors also.
Got it.
So you have to do it. Like, if you have to be successful over the next 2 decade kind of time frame, you have to figure this out now.
You mentioned about, let's say, doing deep research and getting all the answers. Let's say from a job perspective, someone who did, or someone who's really good at marketing, doing marketing research. Okay, now there is deep research. Okay, it will give you all the questions, all the answers, let's say in half an hour, or 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Okay, if you use Claude or if you use Perplexity, it takes that much time to do the deep research. Now, when it comes to that kind of scenario, what will be the job proposition for these kind of people who used to do only research?
So, again, deep research is not conducting the research itself, right? It's not conducting the primary research.
Okay.
What deep research is doing is, there are people who are doing the primary research, and they are, um, deep research is looking at all the sources of primary research, all the sources of data that are available, and giving that to you in
Concise
a
format.
format that is easy to consume, relatively easy to consume, than reading all of those papers and so on and so forth. So my sense is that, if you're doing any sort of deep creative work, there is still going to be, a lot of opportunity for you to do deep creative work, which itself will also get augmented, because this is all generative AI. But if the work that you were doing in the first place was not deep, was not creative, was surface level, was, a lot of people do, without hurting anybody's feelings, quote unquote, you know postman sort of work, right? I really respect what postmen do, but I'm saying there are people who are not postmen who do postman work,
Got it.
which
Got
is
it.
that इधर का चीज लिया, उधर थोड़ा सा कुछ करके उधर, that is not enough value. You're going to have a challenge with sustaining that sort of work, right? If you are creating real value by doing deep, creative, insightful work, and you find a way to intelligently incorporate AI into your workflow, that you're going to it's going to help you. If you were doing low value work, which was just like, थोड़ा सा कुछ एक्सेल शीट का रिपोर्ट बना के उधर भेज, that's it, at end of the line, unfortunately. But I guess in some places this has already happened before also. Probably the nature and scale could be very, very big this time, and we don't know if AGI comes and all of that happens, then maybe even that goes, but we don't know. I mean, these are things you can't predict. Singularity, AGI, you to
Of
predict
course, yeah.
बहुत नहीं कर सकते हैं. But I'm saying even with the current level of stuff, you have to be very clear. Are you really doing deep, meaningful work? That is very important. Yeah.
Got it. So it's like, with the rise of voice agents, so many, people working in call centers, they're not getting jobs purely because there have been so many layoffs just because voice agents are in place.
Absolutely, and that is a reality, and it's not going to stop with voice agents, right? It's going to happen with, what's happening in factories. I mean, the kind of intelligent robotic systems that are happening in factories, it's really crazy. If you go higher up the so-called higher up the value chain, where people were doing research and consulting and that sort of work, people who were doing, like, there was a time when in order to deliver design you needed a certain number of art and copy people doing it. I mean, we, like what we are doing in Meru is we have senior design people who are really, really good at the design element, but execution they are able to do without teams, like without teams, not with smaller teams. They are able to do execution without teams. I mean, that's a very scary prospect.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a time of a lot of change. So humans have to figure out, and these are like these could be society level changes.
Or having like a UBI, universal basic income.
Absolutely. I mean, UBI under other names is already happening in India.
Yeah.
By the way, right? Like when you see, and I don't know if there are, of course, there are people in governments, in these big think tanks who have probably thought about this much more than we have.
Of course.
Yeah, but when you see a scheme which is certain amount of money given, that Ladli Behna kind of scheme, whatever it is, right? I mean, it is UBI only,
Of course.
It's not it's not universal, but it is basic income, right? Or India today, for example, gives 80% of people in the country get free ration, right? I mean, that is very close to you, right? 80% is a big number.
Of course.
It's not income, but it is in another form. So maybe that is the future that is going to happen. And maybe it doesn't matter from a money perspective, because if AI comes in and productivity is genuinely so high, and growth rates of economies, and we get into an abundance economy, then maybe it's fine. Maybe it's fine to give this thing. Then the question changes, that how do people still remain purposeful? How do people still get a sense of fulfillment, get a sense of whatever? Then does it become more about pursuits which were higher up on Maslow's hierarchy, around art, creativity? We don't know how does it happen, but ये बहुत दूर की बात हो गई. I'm saying you gave me an example of someone, call center jobs. Yeah, it's very scary, man. Very scary where things are going.
What's your most favorite AI tool till now?
Most favorite AI tool till now?
Or let's say AI feature, if it's not a complete AI tool. Like, ये software में ये feature, man, I love it.
So I really love deep research, honestly. Deep research on ChatGPT is really amazing. I love voice conversations. I love the fact that my kids can also do those voice conversations. That is really, really amazing. I love to see what people build with the cursors of the voice. We are using it quite extensively. Love to see what it enables. For somebody like me, where I don't have a hard skill of, let's say, design, I love the kind of stuff that there is this these design tools which help you do image generation and so on and so forth.
Like Midjourney and everything.
I think there's a tool called rephrase.ai. I'll send you the link. We can add
Yeah.
it to the description. It's a really good tool for image generation.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think there are bits and pieces. I think my personal favorite would be deep research, because the
Okay.
amount of stuff that I have learned over the course of last 3-4 months, just by
Putting a prompt.
going to deep research. And I used to do this, by the way. The other tool that gives insane alpha and has given for the last 15 years for all its faults is Wikipedia.
Okay.
So now this is like a personalized, probably more dependable version of Wikipedia right in your phone, right?
True.
So yeah, I think deep research is probably my number one that I can think of. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, let's have some quick rapid fire questions. Okay,
Sure.
before we conclude
Yeah,
this
yeah.
episode. What is one word in according to you for success?
Gratitude.
Gratitude. Great. Let's say best book you ever read and has impacted your life a lot.
So there are a few. So I will name a few. So there is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor
Viktor
Frankl,
Frankl.
which is a absolutely stunning book, and I read it long back. Really amazing book. We spoke so much about why in this conversation.
Simon Sinek.
So Simon Sinek, though, I mean, he's
Yeah.
right now, but Viktor Frankl says in that book,
Oh, yeah.
says someone who has a why can survive almost any what, right?
True,
So that
true.
is absolutely brilliant book. Um, I read the autobiography of a yogi a few years back. I mean, that book is such an enigma that intellectually you're reading the book and you're really like, what is going on in this book? And then you look at it not from an intellectual angle, and you're just amazed, right? Steve Jobs' favorite book, right? Autobiography of a Yogi.
Exactly.
So I don't know how many people have read the Valmiki Ramayana. I read it a few years back. um, I went on this. I read the Bhagavad Gita, again, one of those books. I read the Valmiki Ramayana, the original Valmiki Ramayana, translated by Vivek Debroy, who needs to be venerated as some sort of a sage for the work that he's done. He passed away recently, but he's translated so many of the Puranas and Mahabharata and Ramayana. Ramayana, the original one by Valmiki, translated by him. And the way he translated is so interesting. Ramayana is a poetry. A lot of people try to translate it to English in a prose format. He's translated in English in prose format, but as if it was written in a poetry. So, for example, poetry mein you may repeat 2-3 words.
Yeah.
So in the prose also he repeats 2-3 words in English. So while reading it, you're like, okay, it's not very natural, but it does seem to give some amazing sense. So that
Okay.
is, mind-boggling book. Um, I mean, there are just so many books. Lord of the Rings. That book changed my life when I read it.
Okay.
Yeah, there are just too many. I mean,
That's
we can do a whole podcast on this
For
topic.
sure. We should have a book review episode on this.
We should have a book review
Yeah.
episode. There's a very interesting book that I read. All of his books are very interesting, but there is a book by Dr. Uday Kulkarni, one book which is about Maratha Empire. And since we spoke about this, I think 175 years of the Maratha Empire. Now this book is very interesting because it's like it's an anthology, different chapters about different things. But he's written so many other books about that period, each of which is like a tome. But this book is interesting because it is 200 pages and it talks about the whole thing. Yeah. So yeah, but lot of books are there, suffice to say.
Interesting. So none of the business strategy books came to your mind.
No, but I think there are several of those also. I think obviously Good to Great, Built to Last are
Yeah.
all-time classics. Which are the ones that I have read recently? I am currently reading Why We Die, which is a book by, now, just while I'm supposed to say his name, it's missing me. It's an Indian origin person, Nobel Prize winner.
Yeah.
Business books, which else?
We should do another episode
We
on
should
that.
do another
Yeah.
hard things about hard things
Oh,
is a
Ben Horowitz.
yeah, hard things about hard things
Crazy book,
is a
crazy.
great book.
Yeah,
So yeah, a lot of books. Yeah, but maybe next time I will
exactly.
revise my list and come. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. What will be the name of your autobiography?
I mean, I don't know. Some funny things about this, you know. Sanjay and Harish wrote a book about their first venture called If I Had to Do It Again.
Okay.
And in that book, on the last page, my name is mentioned because I was there in the second venture. So like Thanos comes in the end of all the movies, no? Like, no, in the original Iron Man and all.
Oh yeah.
Only in the
Yeah.
end frame, Thanos
Post
is
credits.
there. Post credits. So like that, I'm there in that post credits scene. I don't know. So I think one funny thing is a lot of people use the previous company was called Miram. This is called Meru. A lot of people know galti se they call me by those names.
Like Mihir and Meru.
So
Okay.
like, or they call the company by my name, right?
Okay.
So
Mihir India.
because the names are similar.
It's almost similar, yeah.
So maybe my autobiography will be called something like that.
Mihir and Meru.
Maybe, yeah.
Because even when I was preparing for the intro, it was very confusing. Mihir, Meru.
So, you know, like that day, I was supposed to call up someone, so I called, they didn't pick up. I said, hey, was trying to reach you. They replied saying, sure, Meru, I'll call you back. Because maybe they've same my name as Mihir Meru or what, I don't know. But yeah, maybe that.
Because, yeah, of course, it doesn't sound like a company name, right? You know, Facebook, Google.
Right.
Of course, it sounds like a company name.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, last question. If you lost everything today, okay, and what would you just take with you, or how will you rebuild everything?
The point is, I don't think it is possible to lose everything. You may lose, you may lose some material success. You may lose company,
the network, the connections, everything.
But the stuff that like I mentioned, the foundation that my parents have laid, the foundation that my wife, my mother-in-law, how will I lose that? Not possible to lose.
Agree.
So it is not possible to lose everything. That is that is the same school of thought of self-made man, of whatever. So I'm not from that school of thought. So I don't think it is possible to lose everything. I may lose something else, but all these things are there. So
you will rebuild it again.
वापस भी आ जाएगा.
Interesting. Great. So thank you so much. It was a very, very interesting episode. Okay, I loved it. I'm pretty sure the audience are going to love it. We should have more such episodes. We should talk more about books as well.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So thank you so much, audience. If you're watching it till the end, please do connect with Mihir on his social media. Especially now, he said that he's going to be active on social media, because all these years I've known him, he's not that much of an active person. But right now he's going to be, so which is a great thing. He has an amazing knowledge about business, about how to connect with people, how to take people together so that everyone has a great business and everyone has a great life. So until next time, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel to get even more episodes and to watch even more episodes with Mihir. Please do let us know in the comment section below. So once again, thank you so much and have a great day. Thank you for your attention.